Wonderful. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here for today's announcement, and I just want to thank the entire team at Spartan Controls for hosting us here today. As Alberta's Minister of Environment and Protected Areas, I am proud to stand up every day and defend our world-class energy industry. Demand for Alberta's responsible and reliable oil and natural gas is stronger than ever before. The world will continue to need oil and natural gas for generations to come, and Alberta is ready to answer that call. Those predictions that we heard just a few years ago, touted amongst a few, like the federal government and anti-energy activists, about so-called peak oil have been proven wrong once again. Today, the IEA released a report showing that global oil consumption will increase 13% by 2050. Leading analysts like McKinsey now predict that oil, gas, and other fuels will remain the backbone of the global energy supply for decades, with no end in sight. Countries across Europe and Asia, from Germany and Japan to India, Korea, China, and beyond, are desperately looking for more energy. Alberta is ready to deliver and to be that jurisdiction of choice for the safe, affordable, reliable, and responsibly produced energy that the world and communities right here at home in Canada need. Canadians today recognize the importance of energy security and the value of getting our exports to market and making our country an energy superpower. Recent polls show that 7 in 10 Canadians from coast to coast support expanding our energy exports and believe that pipelines and more oil and gas infrastructure are essential to Canada's economic future. A strong Alberta energy sector means an even stronger and more prosperous Canada. More energy production means more investment, more jobs, more opportunity, and a more independent economy capable of weathering any storm. Alberta's role in advancing global energy security and developing new technology is not just important, it's essential. We are leaders in this space, and countries around the world continue to come to us for solutions, for our expertise and our unmatched experience. We have the means to help end Europe's reliance on Russian oil and gas, which continues to finance its invasion of Ukraine. We can displace heavy oil from Iran and Venezuela, decreasing global emissions while increasing prosperity here at home. We can also displace other less environmentally friendly sources like coal-fired generation in Asia with clean Canadian LNG. That is why Alberta has committed to doubling our energy production to 8 million barrels per day by 2035. As we grow the energy industry, we will also continue to maintain our high environmental standards and continue reducing emissions, because it's not an either-or conversation. You don't have to choose between one or the other. We can absolutely do both. We are, and we will. For more than a century, Alberta has shown Canada and the world that you can reduce your environmental footprint, all while growing the economy, increasing production to record levels, and defending the jobs and livelihoods that built our province. For many years, Alberta's energy industry has overcome every challenge thrown its way. The innovative and entrepreneurial spirit of the people who call this amazing place home has made us a leader in energy production and also in lowering methane emissions. We've reduced methane emissions by more than half since 2014 while producing more energy. We did this while saving industry over $600 million without heavy-handed regulations or federal interference. Every single day, I meet with energy companies who are pushing the boundaries of technology here in Alberta and around the world, and there are a number of them in this room today. Take Spartan Controls. From just a handful of employees, this company has grown to employ over 1,500 Albertans. Their low-bleed instruments, electric devices, and process control skills have been instrumental in reducing emissions at sites across Alberta, Western Canada, and even the United States. Today, we are going to keep this momentum going. We know that Alberta's energy sector is ready to step up and meet surging global and national demand. And we know that amid tariffs and increasing global uncertainty, that companies need support to keep upgrading equipment and develop the next wave of technologies. That's why we're announcing $29 million to help our energy industry keep leading the way on providing the responsibly produced energy that people need. This funding will launch 2 new programs. First, Emissions Reduction Alberta will deliver the new $22 million methane reduction deployment program, helping companies install new equipment and technology at well sites, pipelines, and facilities across our province. By covering up to half of project costs, we're making it easier for industry to act now. Secondly, we're investing $7 million with the NGIF Emissions Testing Center to help develop the next wave of methane emissions technologies. This program will cover up to 75% of testing costs, helping startups fast-track development, de-risk, and get pilot projects to market sooner. This is Alberta's common sense approach: growing energy production, creating jobs, reducing emissions as fast as technology allows. Thank you very much for being here today, and now I'll invite Justin Reamer, CEO of Emissions Reduction Alberta, to tell you more about this new program. Wrong side.
Thank you very much, Minister. Good afternoon, everyone. A pleasure to be with you. And yes, thank you very much to our hosts, Spartan Controls. They always do a tremendous job. We are proud to be partners with them in a variety of different initiatives, and great facility to be in today. Also joined here, in addition to our partners at NJIF, by some other leaders in the ecosystem, and welcome to the CEOs of PTAC and Avatar who've joined us here for this important announcement today. Minister, thank you for this announcement. We really appreciate our partnership with you. So with the support of the Government of Alberta through the TIER Fund, we are committing $22.4 million to help energy producers across this province deploy proven methane reduction technologies. Now, methane matters. It's a potent greenhouse gas, more than 28 times stronger than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. And that means for every ton that we prevent, we have a big impact. Alberta already has reduced methane emissions from conventional oil and gas sector by 50% since 2014, a fact we really need to take pride in. But this program builds on that momentum and helps us go further and faster. The methane reduction deployment program is designed to make it easier for companies to act now. So by covering half of the costs, we're lowering the financial barrier of the oil and gas operators to adopt technologies that detect, measure, eliminate methane emissions. And these are not science projects. These are commercial-ready solutions that can be deployed today and start delivering results immediately. The program is about competitiveness. Global markets and investors are demanding cleaner energy. And producers who move early on methane reduction not only cut their emissions, they strengthen their efficiency, reduce their costs, and position themselves as leaders in responsible energy production. I also want to highlight the importance of partnership. Today's announcement is not just about ERA's program, it's about working alongside the Natural Gas and Innovation Fund and the Alberta government to create a full pipeline of solutions. While ERA focuses on commercial deployment, NGIF is advancing the next wave of innovations through pilots and demonstrations. And together we are creating a pathway for technologies to move to the lab, to the field, to widespread adoption. We are looking forward to working closely with our partners at NGIF on these unique offerings and building off our already excellent relationship. And none of this, of course, happens without industry. Oil and gas producers have been at the table throughout this beginning, forward process testing solutions and investing in change. And I want to thank our friends at PTAC who helped facilitate so much of that industry engagement. Collectively, the leadership of industry is essential, and these programs will help continue to show the world that Alberta can produce energy that is both reliable and sustainable. And in short, this is a win for Alberta, it's a win for our environment, and a win for our economy, and a win for our global reputation as an energy leader. Thank you, and over to you, John.
Your font's much smaller than mine. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Great to see so many familiar faces here in the room. Special thank you to Minister Schulz and Justin Reamer for their participation, partnership, and leadership. And thank you to Spartan Controls for hosting us today. We're here for a simple but powerful reason. We want to accelerate innovation that reduces methane emissions. And we want to strengthen Alberta's oil and gas industry as a global energy leader. I'm here today, together with my friends, to announce that NGIF Accelerator has received $7 million in funding from the Government of Alberta through the TIER Fund to demonstrate methane reduction technologies. As we've heard from Justin, this funding complements $22.4 million from Emissions Reduction Alberta through the TIER Fund for energy producers, many of which are in NGIF, to deploy methane reduction technologies. We also have $3 million in funding support from our industry grants program and its members to also demonstrate methane reduction technologies. So there are three key messages I'd like to leave you with here today. with these important funding announcements. One, as Justin noted, as well as Minister Schulz, methane matters. Methane is powerful, over 25 times stronger than CO2 over a 100-year period. Every ton we prevent makes a big impact. Alberta has already, as we heard from the minister, cut methane emissions by over 50% since 2014. And this methane reduction program, operated by ERA and NGIF, builds on that success to help us go farther and faster. Second, we are accelerating innovation and adoption. The NGIF methane reduction demonstration program gives methane technology developers a clear, unified path to secure industry and government funding through the single program. We accelerate the shift from demonstration to adoption from the oil and gas sector, and we provide up to $750K per project. And three, lastly, partnerships and collaboration. You've heard that a lot, and Justin noted on it as well. Our relationship with ERA started a long time ago as a trusted partner, and it's been long-standing over the years. We've funded many technology companies together. We've had a previous competition in natural gas years back. Today, we are strengthening this ecosystem collaboration with ERA and the Government of Alberta. Our coordinated efforts, which we do a lot of, by the way, in Alberta, and as Justin noted with PTAC and with Avatar and others, but our coordinated efforts today will create a full pathway to methane reduction technologies to go from a field demonstration to widespread adoption in a single unified program. Thank you to the TIER Fund. This collaboration reinforces Alberta's energy industry, our oil and gas industry, as a leader in technology demonstration, emissions performance, sustainable growth, and global energy security. I'd now like to hand it over to Jim Parsons, VP of Oil and Gas at Spartan Controls.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Minister Schulz, representatives from Emissions Reduction Alberta, Natural Gas Innovation Fund, and all other representatives for being here today. As a 63-year-old made in Alberta industrial automation company, we are proud of our provincial contributions. Working with communities, education, and industry, we have, within Alberta, invested hundreds of millions in people and infrastructure, supporting industry and employment. Invested $13 million in post-secondary and student workforce development, and we've played our role in enabling billions in industry investment and infrastructure. The ingenuity of our employees, in collaboration with our partners in industry, community, and the provincial government, has played an integral role in advancing state-of-the-art innovation, automation, and data science across Alberta's industrial spectrum. Automation with data science controls the flows of the molecules and electrons through the industrial processing facilities. It keeps our workers and communities safe. It informs decision makers, enables competitiveness, and protects the environment. Today and in the future, the role of automation in industrial modernization will be paramount to enabling conducive economic and environmental outcomes while addressing growing productivity lags, which is a growing national concern. From supplying equipment for industrial expansion, deploying artificial intelligence in industrial application, or advancing clean technology initiatives, Spartan is proud of our all-of-the-above approach, balancing the economic needs of today with a sustainable tomorrow. The methane reduction deployment program speaks to these sentiments and the importance of addressing current needs with future needs through a balanced approach. A decade ago, Spartan invested in a dedicated team to pursue the mission of wasting less and emitting less in support of sustainable energy development. Under the leadership of Brian Van Vliet, our Environment Solutions Practice Leader, our team has achieved tremendous success supporting Alberta's emissions leadership position. Spartan will continue to leverage technology to support emissions abatement efforts and economic activity. We thank the Government of Alberta for their ongoing support, and we look forward to continued collaboration and partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go to the Q&A portion of this press conference. We'll start in the room and then we'll go to the phones. Reminder, it's one question, one follow-up. For the room, the mic's just in the back there.
Drew Miller, CTV Calgary. I've got a question for Minister Schulz. If a pipeline is once again not included on the major projects list out of Ottawa, what do you believe will be the impact on Alberta?
You know, here's what I would say. I've not seen the next tranche of projects on the project list. Of course, we here in Alberta, we have made the case that an oil pipeline is very necessary. People around the world are looking for oil and gas from Alberta and from Canada. This is good for jobs, the overall economy of Alberta and our country. I think there's still a challenge, of course. We have the No More Pipelines Law, Bill C-69, still in place. I think there's a growing frustration that we have workarounds to what is a bad law that has been deemed unconstitutional and has driven a significant amount of investment out of Canada, especially south of the border. And so, you know, it's not an ideal situation we're in, but I think that there are a lot of people waiting with some cautious optimism, I would say, to see what's actually on that list. I think the bigger challenge will be the federal government actually putting their money where their mouth is, showing that they want to follow up their promises about making us an energy superpower with practical changes that actually allow that to happen, like getting rid of the 9 bad laws that still are in place as of today.
And then just to follow up, what can the provincial government do to lobby Ottawa to eventually approve this pipeline, and what assurances can be made?
You know, I'm really grateful right now that we have Premier Smith leading the charge, and I would say also building relationships across Canada, showing the importance of a strong energy industry and how important that is, not only for Alberta, but for the entirety of our country. We too here have demand for safe, affordable, reliable energy that is responsibly produced. People around the world are not only looking for our energy, but they're looking for our expertise from an environmental perspective as well. There is a win here. We've heard a lot from the federal government, I would say, in terms of nice sentiments around bringing investment back. We haven't seen that happen yet. We haven't seen those 9 bad laws repealed. We still have so much policy uncertainty, but the Premier's taken a leadership role. We have a negotiating committee with the federal government to express some of the challenges that we have with those 9 bad laws and try to find a path forward, ultimately, that benefits Albertans and all Canadians.
Thank you.
Just got in here, Rick Bell, Post Media. Further to that question, we were told for weeks, for months, wait till Grey Cup week. Then you will see the big win. It might not be the Stamps, it might not be the Elks, but you will see the big win. That Grey Cup week thing is happening tomorrow. We were told there was a good chance there would be a pipeline on the major project list and that there would be some significant movement on the 9 bad laws. Preliminary reports from some of my media colleagues has shown that may not be the case. What is your message to Albertans if we don't get that? I've heard there's a memorandum of understanding this morning. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said you can't pay bills with a memorandum of understanding. So what happens if we don't get what we were led to believe we would get?
Yeah, I'll say, the Premier has worked very hard in making the case, both here and across the country, for pipeline infrastructure. We can't continue to say we want to be an energy superpower, and this is what the Prime Minister ran on in the last election, was a departure from the Trudeau-era policies, environmental activist policies that drove away investment and, quite frankly, cratered our productivity and our economy. We've heard a lot of words. I think there's been a lot of cautious optimism, but the Premier was clear that the 9 bad laws, as long as they remain in place, we will continue to be a country where people do not invest, where they look elsewhere to make those investments. The challenge here is that when we see those investments leave our country, those investments take with them all of the investments in technology, emissions reduction, and environmental stewardship that we actually want to see moving forward, the types of things that we're seeing right now. That's why we are making investments like this today, because it matters that we're here to help de-risk those investments and help encourage new technology. That being said, I think the Premier was very clear about her Grey Cup timeline, and, we're going to need a lot more, I think, than an MOU. We need to see those 9 bad laws repealed. My personal concerns would be that there wasn't a commitment in the federal budget and financial statement to remove those laws, to get rid of the oil and gas emissions cap. Instead, there was vague language around dancing around that or getting around that, and instead increasing price and stringency when it comes to the industrial carbon price. We need to have these, not only the 9 bad laws, but the bad policies accompanying that off the table if we want to see the energy superpower plan come to fruition. So at this point, I don't have an update. I haven't seen the list. You know, I know that I've been slightly less cautiously optimistic than some of my other colleagues. And so, you know, it remains to be seen. But we will continue to fight every single day to ensure that there is a common sense and pragmatic approach, and that we as a country, and certainly here in the province of Alberta, we need to be open for business.
But I guess my supplementary following your answer is, for the last few months, we've been told Carney is so much better than Trudeau. It's not like Trudeau. He wanted to phase out the oil sands. Carney's our man. Carney's going to do it for us. Carney's going to give us the big win.
Well,
if we don't get the big, no, I mean, you've been very, very, very complimentary, not you personally, but your government has been very complimentary of the Prime Minister. Fair enough. But what if he doesn't deliver? If I may quote again Polyev from this morning, who said it's like going to the bar where it says free beer tomorrow, and when you go tomorrow, it says free beer tomorrow, and then you go the next day and the sign says free beer tomorrow. I mean, we've heard this story on and on and on through the former Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister. So what is your reaction going to be? Is it going to be, well, let's work a little bit longer and we might get it by the time I'm ancient?
Well, I would say I'm happy to answer that question when I actually see the list.
Right.
You know, of course, from my perspective, I want to make sure not only that we remove the oil and gas emissions cap, that we remove the clean electricity regulation, but also that we are not just seeing them go around and hamper industry's investment in other ways, like continuing to increase an industrial carbon price to 170, which would make us completely uncompetitive at a time where we need to be competitive. And I think that's been even more heightened with what we've seen happen south of the border. If we want to be a strong, prosperous Canada and grow our trade and export partnerships, we need to get rid of not only these 9 bad laws, but not find other ways to essentially do the same thing to our environment, to shut down the energy industry or try to hamper it. So I would say it's a little early for me to comment on that, but it is true. Today, we have seen no difference in policy. We've seen a lot of nice words. We've seen comments about wanting to be an energy superpower, but we've not actually seen one bit of action from the federal government. I think that Albertans are starting to lose their patience. I think industry is starting to see, you know, some cracks in that narrative. And so they're looking forward to this Grey Cup deadline to see, okay, is this the time that the federal government is going to show leadership and action on this front?
Thank you.
Any more questions in the room? Not seeing any. Let's go to the phones.
Your first question comes from the line of Sean Amato from City News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. Just to follow up on the questions there of the dinger, as Pierre Poilievre calls him, I guess at what point do you, as an elected representative, say, yeah, Ottawa's not listening, Mark Carney's not listening, and we need to have a separation referendum vote? The Premier threatened a unprecedented national unity crisis 6 months ago. She pushed that back. It looks like the Prime Minister is not going to meet her new Grey Cup deadline. So at what point do you agree with many Conservatives in the province and say we need to have a vote on leaving Canada?
You know, first I would say I'm grateful for our Premier's leadership at this time. I think, you know, she has put us in a very strong position when it comes to these discussions with the federal government, and really made the case across the country for the importance of these nation-building projects. It's also true that a significant amount of Albertans are frustrated with the federal government's continual attack on our major industries. This isn't just about shutting in and shutting down energy production. This is about jobs and people's livelihoods in every corner of our province. This is about meeting global demand for safe, affordable, reliable energy. I can tell you, when I've traveled around the world, I continue to have people ask, you know, how do we get Alberta gas to market? we love what you're doing in Alberta, but we can't understand what's going on with Canada. That's a frustration we've heard in countries, including Japan. When I was there last winter, that was something we heard loud and clear. They see us as the solution to meeting their energy needs, but also to meeting their environmental goals. And so, I would say stay tuned. There will probably be updates on this, of course, once we get to the Grey Cup deadline. The Premier's been working really hard on an MOU. I would say as the Environment Minister, a few of the things that I'm very much focused on is ensuring that we don't have a carbon price and stringency that continues to go to 170 and leaves us uncompetitive. Right now, we've frozen our tier price at the current price because we know that future increases to both price and stringency do impact our industry's competitiveness. The other thing would be on methane. We want to continue to regulate in this space. I think today's announcement is a great reminder of the amazing work that we've been able to do by not following the federal government's path to put in hard caps and targets, but instead to work with industry to see how we can encourage new technology adoption. We know how to do this work. Our record is strong with over 53% methane emissions reduction. We did that 3 years ahead of schedule for $600 million less cost to industry. That's a major win. It shows that we have been doing this. We can continue to do this. And so those are some of my concerns when it comes to negotiating that MOU. But more to come on that. Keeps falling on me.
Okay.
I'm short, but not that short.
Sorry. The UCP AGM is coming up fast. If there is no movement on the oil and gas policies, and if there is no movement on a new pipeline from Alberta to BC, what do you think the mood is going to be at that UCP AGM? Because, as you say, a lot of Albertans are losing patience here.
Again, it's a bit early to speculate. The Premier's working very hard, as is her office and our negotiating team, on ensuring that there is an MOU that allows our industry to continue to thrive and prosper in the interests not only of Alberta, but Canada. And so I would say stay tuned for that. I probably can't get too much ahead of the deadline, but I know that, it's not only me. There are Albertans right across our province that are looking to this deadline to see some common sense action, to show that the federal government is putting their money where their mouth is and showing up with more than words, but some real credible action on this front.
Put through the next caller.
Your next question comes from the line of Dave Scarin from CTV Edmonton. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. To the Minister, there's currently an ongoing landfill fire in Parkland County, just west of Edmonton, that's been burning for a few days now. And people in nearby communities are concerned about toxic smoke. I was wondering if the province is aware of this and if it can or is able to do anything about landfill fires and if there are concerns about toxic smoke.
Yeah, my department often works with other departments that would be impacted by these types of events, and we can get you some more specifics on that, the conversation that our department would be having with the local municipalities. We can follow up with you on that this afternoon for sure.
Just as a quick follow-up, is there anything off the top of your head that could be done to help alleviate some of these concerns that nearby community members would be having?
The way that we approach it is, of course, we have the Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act. We do a significant amount of environmental monitoring in all corners of the province. And so, when we do have incidents we need to look into, our department does that in coordination with other departments, often with forestry and parks and public safety and policing. And so if there are specific updates we can get you, I don't have any as of today, but I can get my department to follow up and provide that information to you.
We can go to the next caller.
Your next question is from the line of Jack Farrell from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Hey, my questions are also for the Minister. Just before this press conference started, the government published a report about its methane engagement. It's like 10 pages just kind of highlighting what it heard from oil and gas companies and the other people that participated. And one thing that the report says is that aligning Alberta's reporting standards and methodology for methane emissions to U.S. standards would be helpful for Alberta's industry. do you know what the U.S. standards are? Like, would that be a laxing? Like, I'm trying to understand what the advantage to that would be.
We just completed those engagements, and part of the timing on that is that our agreement with the federal government is coming to a close. We have a bridging agreement in place which allows Alberta to regulate this area instead of the federal government. And so we did want to get industry feedback on things that we could address before we sign a new, renewed, longer-term equivalency agreement with the federal government. We've just begun to compile all of that information, and so I'll be looking through that with my team. I do know for sure, though, that the overwhelming response we got from our industry here is that they do want to ensure that Alberta continues to occupy this space and have responsibility and jurisdiction over methane emissions reduction. And I think, again, it goes to the approach that we've taken. It's one of common sense and partnering with industry to look at how we can come up with positive solutions instead of hitting hard targets that are often inflexible and can risk investment and drive away investment overall. So we're looking to that. I know in our conversations that I've had personally with the United States, there has sometimes been, I would say, a differentiation of definitions, measurement, different ways of reporting the information that we gather. And so, you know, in the conversations I've had with policymakers south of the border, but even elsewhere around the world, there's been a question of how we can align the methodologies we use, because we know that our record is a strong one, and we want to be able to better tell that story. And sometimes it's easier to tell that story when we're all talking about the same standards for measurement and reporting.
And then a follow-up to that, the report kind of ends essentially with a little tiny paragraph about next steps, and it essentially says, you know, the engagement will inform future policy direction, and it says, as the regulatory, political, and economic landscape becomes clear, what is the kind of things you're looking for that will actually bring clarity? Like, what? Essentially, I'm wondering what I should be waiting for before I ask you these questions again. You know?
Yeah, no, we're taking the feedback that we've gathered from industry and then sitting down with industry partners like the NGIF, like PTAC. PTAC's been a very valuable partner when it comes to the methane emissions reduction work. So when we take that list of recommendations and feedback from industry, look at the agreements that we're seeking with the federal government, setting our next target, making sure that the technology is in fact available. That's been one of the challenges with the federal government's standards, is oftentimes they have very strict and rigid standards and caps in place that almost get ahead of where the technology is at and where the economics are at for these projects. And so we'll continue to work with our partners on a common sense approach. That's also part of the negotiation that we're having with the federal government as part of that MOU, is that we want to continue to oversee these areas and set those targets and define what the parameters are. Because I'll be honest with you, the way that this was defined under previous Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault was again designed to shut in and shut down production and hamper our energy industry. That just isn't practical. It's not common sense. It doesn't benefit Canadians or our overall economy or investment climate at a time like this. So we'll continue to advocate for common sense with the federal government, and then kind of come up with typically it's a suite of programs and incentives and policy changes at the same time that allow industry to continue to make investments, take risks, and do the right thing for the environment.
Thank you. Seeing no more questions in the room or on the line, this concludes today's press conference. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for coming.